Fabrizio Romano and others reporting that Chelsea will announce Enzo Maresca as their new boss today. Might have happened by the time this show drops. Jules, when you last shared your thoughts on this, it was just possibility. Now it's reality, possibly?
Yeah, and I wasn't sure. I mean, we were in agreement, I think, in terms of his own personality and the kind of mentoring that he got from Pep. If going into Chelsea with this heavy structure around and having to be part of this structure was for him or not, he must have thought that it was. I'm very excited, full stop, because I like Maresca as a manager. I think he did some great things at Leicester this season. The step up from the Championship, even with a team like Leicester, to the Premier League is massive. We saw that with Kompany, who was great in the Championship with Burnley and then obviously struggled at Premier League level. So Chelsea is no Burnley. Obviously, the squad is a very good squad still, even if it's unbalanced. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to see them next season. I think the Europa League throws a curveball a little bit for him as well, because it's a lot then to play in the Premier League and then every Thursday in the Europa League and to get used to.
Well, he did it when he was at Man City.
I guess, but he was a second or third assistant then. He's different.
Second assistant, and he had a shaved head, just like the first assistant, just like the head coach. So,
yeah,
you know.
I guess obviously, but you see what I mean. He's still like, if you see De Zerbi struggling a little bit to adapt and manage everything. I'm not sure about him, but I think he's great, and I think he's a great, bright young coach.
Bruno Fernandes agents are reportedly talking to big clubs around Europe, including reportedly Bayern. Jules, I'm sure it's just a coincidence that his contract expires in 2026.
Yeah, and not long ago he said, hey, I want to feel value here, you know, like I want you to match my ambitions, and usually that means give me more money, give me a new deal.
He's been Manchester United's best player, arguably, for the last 4 or 5 years.
And I think he deserves that deal if he wants to stay, and the club wants to keep him. I know you can look at Mainu and Garnacho and the younger players, Højlund, to build the team around for the next 10 years or so. But Bruno is very important to you, you know, not just in terms of leadership, but also what he brings to the team. So I would expect this one to
just be part of a contract negotiation.
Exactly.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is there's a number. First of all, I don't think he's going to have many takers out there because he is on Manchester United wages, and
he's getting older. Obviously.
He's getting older, and also he kind of does his own thing on the pitch, which a lot of these very team-oriented scheme managers don't like. I just think it's critical that if United extend him, they extend him for the right amount of years and for the right bounce.
Exactly.
Otherwise, hey, Bruno, stay and play for your contract.
Yeah. Lucas Paqueta has been cleared to play for Brazil in the Copa America despite his FA charges here in England for spot fixing and intentionally getting yellow cards in the Premier League.
So I'm okay with him playing in the Copa America because you're innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
100%, I'm fine with that. What is really interesting here is there's a newspaper report here in England that says, if you remember, there's 4 games that they're looking at where they basically believe that he intentionally took a yellow card. Yeah. The most recent one was a game against Bournemouth at the very start of the 23-24 season. Yeah. It was still in August. He ended up getting a suspicious card in injury time, but apparently he had asked not to play in this game. And this was supposedly around the time that he was going to move to Manchester City.
Right.
After this game, the investigation starts, and obviously that kills the City move. Man, if you just said, I done my hammy, maybe there's a parallel history here where this never happens, or maybe he goes to City and ends up being, facing his legal problems there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Daily Telegraph, Gab, reports that Leicester City will likely start the 24-25 season in the Premier League. Now they've been promoted with points penalty that could run between 6 and 15 points.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. Again, there's a benchmark. There's the size of the charges. If you're consistent, Everton, of course, could also start the season with a massive points penalty. I think the big issue here, as I see it, is, look, if people get accustomed to this, I think this is a pain point now because it seems weird and the fans are angry. If it means that then clubs start following instructions, following the rules, know it's going to be enforced, they're going to operate within them, and we won't have this problem.
Yeah.
The Mirror here in England reports that Matheus Cunha is a target for Manchester United. Jules, 12 goals in 32 Premier League appearances. Yeah. And guess what? A contract expiring in 2026. Uncle George at work. Am I too cynical?
No, I agree with you completely. I like Matheus Cunha. That's not what Manchester United need right now. Your friend Anthony Martial is gone. They're going to replace him with Matheus Cunha, who, did well this season, But before that, I'd never scored more than 8 goals in a league season, I think, or a league campaign before, something like that. That's not. I know they don't have much money.
If you're
maybe
replacing the Martial role, which is basically to never play, and when you do play badly, Mateus Cunha can. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, no, I think this is a contract.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if they've decided, if they've not decided, if it's all going to be, Jason Wilcox led the future. But surely, before you negotiate and whatever, you want to either tell the world that Ten Hag is staying, or tell the world that somebody else is replacing him. Big summer for Emile Smith-Rowe. He has 2 years left on his Arsenal deal and is reportedly being tracked by Barcelona. No, just kidding. Just did so much Barcelona, I thought it's appropriate. Tracked by Fulham. Yeah. Again, another 2026, another big decision to make for Arsenal, and a big decision to make for him.
Yeah, and I think there's more clubs than just Fulham who are after him, despite not playing much this season.
Or last season.
Yeah, or last season, more for injury last season. This time, maybe struggling to get into this team that was functioning really well. It's a hard one because he's obviously a boy that went through his Arsenal through and through. But they might need to raise some money to be able to spend in the transfer window. And for that, you might have to sell someone like him or an Nketiah or players like that who don't play much. So we'll have to see. I would have loved to see him a bit more in that kind of number 8 position during the season, because I think he could be great in there.
What, Declan Rice's position?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But then if he didn't play this season, is he going to play more next season? If he stays, I don't think so. And then he will only have 1 year left on his contract.
I think the tricky thing for Arsenal is, it seems crazy to say it's a double-edged sword when your best players never get injured, but they didn't have many injuries last year.
No, true.
Martin Odegaard and Declan Rice, I think they played almost every game. Yeah. So we didn't get to see him. But you need to have a competent backup to both of them. He can be that, maybe. And Arsenal don't have that, because Fabio Vieira, I don't need to. I know he was also injured. I don't need to see much more. He's not going to impersonate Odegaard, not in my view. Smith-Rowe can also play wide, but Arsenal have 1 billion wingers, so that's not something where you need Smith-Rowe.
Yeah.
That is the really, really difficult one, and I think this is something where Arteta has to assess him. Well, once Arteta signs his contract, which of course is still up in the air as well, Arteta has to have the confidence to assess him. Okay, based on what I see in training, I maybe if we sign a forward so that Havertz can do the Odegaard thing sometimes when that new forward plays, you have to make that call without having Smith-Rowe perhaps battle tested on the actual pitch. Yeah. That's where you have to make that decision. This is a quick hit that got cut a couple of weeks ago because you're like, I don't want to talk about Tosin. We had something else going on. I'm glad we didn't. You were right, Jules, because we were talking about how he was about to sign for Newcastle.
Yeah.
Now he's a free agent. Now we're going to talk about how he's reportedly going to sign for Chelsea as a free agent, because Chelsea don't have enough center backs.
I mean, they lost Thiago Silva at least, so maybe it's just a replacement.
Yeah, so now all they have is Chalobah, Fofana, Badiashile, Disasi.
Yeah.
But we're
Colwell.
Colwell. God, you always forget Colwell.
And now Tosin. At least.
I'm assuming Chalobah will move on.
Yeah, you think so. But it must be good to move from Fulham to Chelsea, because you don't need to move houses to start with. It feels like an upgrade, like you've been, you go to like a bigger club, which it is, to be fair. So that's cool. Instead of moving from London to Newcastle, here we go.
I would argue, with all due respect, that Fofana is virtual at this stage. We have no idea what condition is going to be back if he comes back, right? Yeah. And we know the Fofana 3-4 years ago was really, really good, right? Thiago Silva is gone.
Yeah.
Chalobah, I think, if they need to balance the books, although, again, this is somebody who for 6 months didn't play, and then he played a lot after that. I don't know who... I mean, they're convinced they can shift these players because they're on low wages. Maybe you can. Badiashile seems to have regressed. And Disasi, Gord seemed to be his biggest fan. Disasi can play right back. Because he's Paris.
Yeah.
I think Disasi can play like bouncer, right?
He can, for sure.
So if Colwell comes back, fine, you got one.
He will, yeah.
But are you a Tosin guy?
No, really.
No?
No.
All right.
Not the biggest fan. I won't lie.
West Ham are pursuing the other teenage sensation from Palmeiras, Luis Guilherme, in a deal worth $30 million. Jules, are you a fan?
I think it would be a great move. I don't know if he's ready. It's impossible to tell. Same for Estevao, like it was like it is for Hendrik, although Hendrik seems more advanced in his career, but like he was for Rodrigo, like he was for Vinicius, like he was for all those very young Brazilians coming over. But certainly he looks like an incredible talent, and he might adapt very well, very quickly. He might not, we don't know yet. But it's one of those that at 30 million, if you're West Ham, I think you can go for. You can afford. It's not like you're spending 60, 70 million and it has to work. 30 million, you can always find a way back to Brazil for him if he's not happy in Europe. But if he's working and you have him for 2-3 years, then you will sell him for far more money than that. So I'm all for those kind of moves, to be fair.
Yeah, only thing I would say, and I don't know if I'm West Ham, I have a major expensive asset there in Lucas Paqueta.
Yeah, of course.
Which maybe they were hoping to shift, and now it's not going to happen.
Yeah. We know that Juventus are looking to shift Weston McKennie this summer, Gab. Is Aston Villa a good destination for him?
Well, I think, I know it's really funny because a lot of US men's national team writers and fans pointed out, McKennie played so many minutes for Juve this season. Yeah, he played a lot of minutes in midfield on the Juve team where their best midfielder was suspended for doping violations, and their best young midfielder was suspended for betting violations, and because they don't really have much other money, there just wasn't that much competition in midfield. So I think that's why McKennie played so much.
Yeah.
He's also one of the higher earners. He's 25 years old. They did offer him a new deal, but I think it's the kind of deal where they want him to take a pay cut.
Yeah,
so
massive,
he's going to move on. When I look at Villa's midfield, I thought they were undermanned this year, and it showed because Kamara got injured. It just left them McGinn, Douglas Luiz, and our boy Tielemans.
Yeah.
So they could use another body. I don't know. Nobody's going to think that you're getting Frank Rijkaard here, but he is a guy who will give you a lot of energy, a lot of effort. He's a good kid, presents himself well. 1 year left. I think you can get him at a decent price if you're Villa, and a price that allows you, because they're slightly on the edge with profit and sustainability rules. Maybe you can do that without selling one of your stars.